the first steps laid down by the mountain men who were his spiritual forefathers. Laramie has commenced his challenge of the wilderness with a tolerable Hawken rifle and his own cast bullets.
That's my .54 caliber bullet, capable of taking any game down in the world. It's gonna be red squirrel pancakes tonight.
Big game or small, Laramie knows he possesses the time-honored skills to keep himself fed in this far country. But he hasn't limited his sights to squirrel and has already taken up his cap-lock rifle to seek larger fare to fill his larder. Among the many things that Laramie knows is the language of the animals. And that savvy has enabled him to draw the mighty bull moose into range of his .54 caliber muzzleloader.
About a high 57, 58-inch bull. I'm tickled to death.
Now in far northern British Columbia, Laramie is looking to meet up with a rival, the other great hunter of these woods and mountains, and the one true man-eater. The smell of fresh moose meat rises with the smoke of the fire and spreads into the night. This is a challenge to the other hunter, for whom all the game is his, to be defended, get out of here, or confiscated. He's Old Ephraim, the mountain man's name for the devil. Like the mountain men who preceded him, Laramie knows the grizzly's legendary power and danger are fact. His scalp ripped from his skull, a leg snapped by crushing jaws, exposed ribs showing white through his torn side, young Hugh Glass lies seemingly lifeless beneath the carcass of the grizzly he's fought to the death with his knife. Seeing no hope, two fellow mountain men leave him in a shallow grave wrapped in the bear hide. For 2 nights and a day, Glass lies unconscious. Coming to at last, he sets his own broken leg. His one chance, the Cheyenne River, 100 miles away. Summoning all his will, Glass begins to crawl. Now, with a lone bullet in his Hawken rifle, Laramie's ready for his own appointed meeting with Old Ephraim. For this grizzly hunt, Laramie's partnered up with Jack, another hunter with the blood of the mountain men in his veins.
Look right here, you can see where a bear's been rubbing. They got some hair. It's shiny, got, the black marks on the top, and then there's a bite mark here about 7 foot. Pretty good bear, 7.5 foot, somewhere around there.
A bear that tall can weigh 600 pounds. He runs at 35 miles an hour, has 4-inch claws, and a 1,200-pound bite force. An ultimate survivor. He'll live on berries and roots as well as on meat.
If you look real close, you can see where these bears have been tearing up and digging for roots and everything else in here. Lots of bears in the area.
Grizzly country's no easier to travel in than sheep country. From up here, a giant bear's no more than a speck on the Broad River flat.
Got a really big bear over here. He's just feeding on these huckleberry bushes along the bottom. We gotta cross this dang river. Gotta go give her hell.
The race is on to get across the river and into position ahead of the bear before he feeds his way out of sight. In these willows, even the biggest of bears can vanish like mist on the wind.
We lost him down here in this thick stuff. We're gonna go get on his knob. Look down, see if we can't locate him again. That bear's only 300 yards away right here. Got this bear down here. It's a big bear. It's down in the bottom. It's thicker than all hell. That's when the situation gets hairy. But I gotta get within about 100 yards. That's why I love the old hawk, and it makes it interesting. If he can get in an area where we can cut him off and get a good shot.
Laramie will have to move fast to cut off the bear.
Big bear up on the hill.
The path of the mountain man has led Laramie to far northern British Columbia. Now he's fording fast-running waters and breaking trail, carrying a traditional hawk and muzzle-loading rifle, in the hunt for one of the largest, most powerful predators on land. Laramie's pushing through thick brush as he's ready to come face to face with the silver-tipped grizzly bear.
There he is looking at us. It's a different bear. Wind's starting to swirl. It's making it real tough. Well, we spotted that big bear down in the bottom. It was just feeding on the soap berries in the bottom. Circled around, got in a perfect spot. It come to about 150 yards, which I could take that shot and I could hit him, but he never stopped, and I just didn't. Oh, there he is right there running. Hold on.
The spectacular beauty of the country does not alter the fact that at times you have to claw your survival out of it.
Right here we got a real good beaver run. They're moving from the river to this little slough, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set a conibear trap right off into this little slough area just right off. I'm gonna set another lake hole trap. Hopefully we can catch two beavers at once.
There's as much art as science to making a good trap set. Done right, the result will be an instant humane kill. Lucky for Laramie, he doesn't have to wait for what his traps catch before he eats. There's still moose meat from the kill he made earlier on this expedition into British Columbia. Imitating a cow moose, he called in a lovesick bull, and the one shot from his hawken brought down a trophy book animal. And enough provisions to last a while. A meal of moose would have been a godsend for mountain man Hugh Glass when he met the grizzly on the high plains and paid the price. Grubbing for roots, feeding on berries, letting maggots clean his wounds, Hugh Glass crawls across the miles, going in and out of consciousness. Waking once, he finds a grizzly lapping blood from his skin. Later, he somehow drives off a pair of wolves from a buffalo calf carcass and gorges on the raw flesh. Strengthened, he completes his 100-mile crawl to the Cheyenne River and lashes up a raft. Now, he lets the current carry him to the Missouri and down to Fort Kiowa. Considered one of the most remarkable treks in history, Glass's 200-mile odyssey takes 2 months. The saga of Hugh Glass is etched into the DNA of Laramie Miller, and he knows what he'll be up against when it's time for him to stare down a grizzly.
Look here, you can see pretty fresh bear sign. They've been eating these soap berries. It's just chock full of soap berries. Take that home, make it a soup for you. On this ridge, pretty much all day, we've seen a pretty good grizz down here in the bottom. And then we just saw a smaller, we can't tell if it's a boar or a sow. Out here, we've got another big bear up on the hill. We're gonna go get on the bank and see if we can't get a good look, see if it's a sow or a boar. So the episode of Grizz vs. Sasquatch is still ongoing. Got the wind blowing downwind. We're gonna try to circle around and hopefully he walks right to us. There's about 40 yards.
The animal most feared and respected by the mountain men, famed for its fierceness and power, the object of Laramie's quest in the North Country of British Columbia. Here, Laramie brings his traditional skills. The hunt continues across the vast and rugged landscape.
Got the wind blowing downwind. We're gonna try to circle around and hopefully he walks right to us.
In this country, trying to chase a grizzly on the move is futile at best, crazy at worst.
We had that big bear right down here in the bottom, we figured. He was heading this north real fast, figured to try to circle around in front of him. He pulled a Houdini on us.
Here, a grizzly has his own entire world to run and hide in.
And grizzlies, they love to feed on flats like this. You got a lot of fish spawning down in these creeks, but you got the big sandbars where they can drag them fish up on the sandbars. You got tons of soap berries going along, which is one of the bear's main diets. But they'll come out of this thick brush and they'll come down here and feed. You can see them anytime throughout the day. It's amazing. You get an 8, 9, 10-foot animal, and they can just disappear. You look across here, and it doesn't look like there's any cover for them to hide anywhere. But they can disappear, and they'll show up 200 yards from you. So patience is really key. This would be a great place for them bears to stay out of the rain. They got all kinds of berries. That's what these bears are eating. Soap berry. It's bitter. They're very bitter. Not bad though. You can live off that for a while.
What looks like play is a serious grizzly technique for spotting small animals. Once again, the land draws a cloak over the grizzly bear.
Guess they don't get big for nothing.
As the bear continues to elude Laramie, his trap has borne fruit from the river. Laramie will care for this beaver in camp. He has a pelt and food, and without firing a shot and disturbing the area. For all the care Laramie's taking with skinning and fleshing and butchering this beaver, there's nonetheless one part that ranks as not so much.
I'm gonna cut off this beaver tail so that I can use it for bait. No, I'm not gonna eat it. You hear all these stories of the mountain men back in the day and beaver tail being a delicacy. Well, it's full of gristle. The beavers store gristle and fat in this so that they can make it through the winter. That's why their tails are a lot bigger in the fall than they are in the spring. And just for that lone reason, I don't see how the mountain men could have ever eaten it. It's inedible to me. I've tried it and not so bueno.
Other parts of the beaver, though, are downright mouth-watering. Now that's some fine haunch of beaver. Belly full of beaver meat, Laramie carries on his quest to meet up with old Ephraim.
See, we got a big grizz up there. Looks like he's trying to dig to China. He's digging for gophers, boy, and he's throwing dirt everywhere.
Bear and Laramie are now on a collision course.
We got a bear right out here in the flat. I'm gonna go check, see if it's a sour boar. Pretty good sized bear. It's a bow hunter's dream right there.
Bring me men to match my mountains, the poet wrote. Men to match the grizzly that walks the trails here. The traditions of the mountain men live on here, embodied by Laramie Sasquatch Miller. Out on flats ripe with berries and across creeks running with fish, Laramie draws nearer to facing down Mr. Grizz.
He's digging for gophers, boy, and he's throwing dirt everywhere. We got a bear right here in the flat. I'm gonna go check, see if it's a sour boar. Pretty good sized bear. Looks like a sow. I'm gonna double check.
Laramie's Hawk and Plains rifle was the long-range hunting weapon of its day. That was in the 1820s. And then, as now, a hunter with a Hawken needed to get within 150 yards or closer to ensure an accurate shot. But at that range, there's no problem identifying the animal if the weather cooperates.
Beautiful country. But once again, you can see it's raining like crazy. You can't see the sides of the mountain. Visibility's pretty poor.
At least the rain will quiet Laramie's stalk through the willows toward the grizzly.
Only about 40 yards.
Only 40 yards in point-blank Hawken range, but the beast might as well be at a mile.
That's exactly what you want right there. It's about 40 yards. It's a bow hunter's dream if it was a good boar. Too bet it's a sow. Big enough to be a boar. I'm just a 7-foot bear. But I can't see nothing hanging. That's the thing about these bears is I don't care how good you think you are, you never know 100% for sure until you get, up close within 50 yards. And you can look at the color and size of the head always helps, but it's never a guarantee. Like you look at that one right there, I would have bet money she was a boar, but nope. I'm gonna back out of here real slowly, and she knows we're here. She just don't care. She's feeding. But I don't want to risk making her mad because it could get ugly really quick.
Old Ephraim said the mountain men, hinting at brimstone, and Indians knew it as the beast that walks like a man, leaving a clawed hind track in the image of the human footprint or the Sasquatch.